Exposed, terrifying tales from a cursed mountain trail. 5 sinister encounters revealed. The townsfolk whispered tales of the cursed mountain trail that wound through the Appalachian woods, where hikers vanished without a trace. Sarah had heard enough to make her blood run cold, but she brushed it aside. A fresh start was what they needed, her and her little girl, Lily. They'd escaped the clutches of darkness, and she wouldn't let these old stories pull her back. Yet, as the evening settled in and the sun dipped behind the jagged peaks, something shifted in the air. An unsettling omen wrapped in the cool breeze. That night, howls echoed from the tree line, cutting through the stillness like a knife. They were wild and unnatural, not the sound of coyotes, but something else. Lily stirred in her sleep, her little face pale against the pillow. Was she dreaming again? Unbeknownst to Sarah, her daughter had already caught glimpses of the town's sinister underbelly, a dark woman in white, who haunted her dreams, beckoning her closer to the trails. When Sarah woke up in the dead of night, a sense of rising panic gripped her stomach like a vice. She glanced outside to find shadows skimming between the trees, too quick to register. Were they real or just figments of her fraying mind? She shook her head, convincing herself that her past was not something to be revisited in every creak and groan of their new home. Days turned into weeks as they settled into the rhythms of their new life, but the town remained cold, its residents wrapped in a cloak of suspicion. With half-hearted smiles, they welcomed her but always glanced away at the mention of the trail. Sarah felt like an intruder inhabiting a shell of pleasantness that masked something lurking beneath. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One afternoon, while hiking the outskirts with Lily, they stumbled upon an ancient tree marked with a strange symbol, a swirling pattern that pulsed with a faint glow. Sarah felt that familiar coil of dread creep back. The locals called it a guardian, but she sensed it was something far darker. Dismissing the feeling as a product of her imagination, she admired the tree, oblivious to the warning emanating from it. As she returned home, that nagging chill hadn't left her, growing colder each day. Every later afternoon brought her neighbors' furtive glances. Their smiles were stiff, eyes wide with secrets, like a dam on the verge of bursting. The memories of her abusive past clawed at her mind, yet the town felt like a trap, tightening around her and Lily. That night, as she sat in their cozy little kitchen, she jolted at the sight of pale, ghostly fingers pressed against the window. The woman in white floated there, mouth moving silently as if pleading for help. Sarah's breath hitched, heart racing in a frenzy of terror. What did this mean? She could feel the impending storm of darkness closing in, and all at once, the dreadful truth washed over her. They were not safe here, not at all. The mountain loomed outside, its shadows whispering secrets, dragging her toward the very heart of fear. What had she stepped into? The ground beneath her felt unstable, and every instinct screamed for flight, yet the path they'd chosen seemed to stretch out endlessly ahead. What other horrors awaited them at the cursed trail? The following day felt heavier than the last, as if the weight of unspoken warnings hung thick in the air. Sarah took Lily to the small local grocery store, hoping to find some semblance of normalcy among the aisles of canned goods and familiar faces. But the store seemed transformed, each person's gaze falling away the moment she approached. Whispers danced around her, like shadows just out of sight. Did you see her? The woman in white. Best not to wander near the trail after dark. Sarah tried to ignore them, clenching Lily's hand tightly. She saw a flicker of recognition in the elderly clerk's eyes, a sudden flash of fear that sent a chill racing down her spine. Late that afternoon, as they returned home, the vibrant hues of twilight became muted, drenching the sky in dull gray. The wind carried a low hum that seemed to whisper secrets, drawing Lily's curiosity. "Mommy, can we go back to the old tree?" A quick tremor of dread shot through Sarah. "No, sweetheart. Let us not go near it again. Her heart raced as she spoke. Fear flooded her veins. She would do anything to keep Lily safe from whatever lurked around them, yet, as the day slipped into night, she felt the haunting pull of the mountain. Was it her past reaching out for her, or something more sinister? That night, Sarah lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with thoughts of the woman in white. She thought about the stories whispered in the store, the ghostly figure floating at her window. She sat up, heart pounding, the need to protect her daughter overtaking her fear. Lily? She called softly, glancing at the darkened hallway. There was no answer. Panic set in as she swung her legs over the side of the bed. Lily! She called again, louder this time, dread curling in her stomach like a snake. Rushing down the hallway, Sarah froze as she caught sight of the door. It was slightly ajar. She remembered locking it just before bed. Heart racing, she swung the door open and stepped outside into the chilling night. The moon cast a dim glow over the yard, revealing Lily standing at the edge, staring into the shadows of the trees. Lily! Sarah shrieked, running toward her. Lily turned, her face expressionless. Mommy, the woman is calling me. A shiver coursed through Sarah as she gripped Lily's shoulders. What do you mean? What woman? Lily blinked, as if coming back from another world. She wants us to follow. The wind hissed around them, the trees quivering, as if a storm was brewing deep inside the mountain's heart. Sarah glanced toward the trail, her instincts screaming against it, yet the allure of the unknown wrapped around her thoughts. Please, let us go back inside, she urged, tugging at Lily's hand, but Lily pulled back. Not yet, Mommy. She insisted. I have to see her. Before Sarah could respond, a faint, mournful wail resonated from the woods, an echo of despair pulling at the corners of her sanity. The tendrils of fear clutched tighter, wrapping around her throat, choking her voice into silence. Lily's gaze fixated on the tree lean, her innocent eyes dancing with a mix of wonder and fright, blurring the line between child and ethereal. Stay close. I mean it. Sarah commanded, her voice trembling, but it was too late. Something stirred deep within the shadows, an energy that sent ice through her veins. Would she really let Lily wander off into the unknown? Something inside Sarah shifted, and for the first time, the mountain felt less like a backdrop and more like a living entity waiting to consume them. As they stood there, the distance between safety and dread began to close, and Sarah could only think one thought: they had to find out the truth behind the mountain before it was too late. And then, as the wind gusted sharply, a shadow slipped forth from the woods, a figure draped in white, its face obscured, beckoning with outstretched hands. Are you ready to follow? It seemed to whisper into the encroaching darkness. In that moment, hesitation felt like a waste of time, and uncertainty buzzed around them like a swarm of angry bees. What would become of them if they dared to explore? Would the mountain reveal its secrets, or simply swallow them whole? Sarah's heart raced, pounding like a drum, as she pondered the answer that loomed ahead. Would they walk into the heart of fear, or turn back before the final curtain was drawn? The figure loomed closer, the moonlight casting an eerie glow over its flowing fabric. Sarah's breath hitched. It took everything in her not to scream, but the instinct to protect Lily surged to the forefront. Come on, Lily, she whispered urgently, tugging at her daughter's hand. But Lily remained rooted, her gaze locked on the specter. Mommy, she's beautiful. Lily murmured, a smile breaking through her fear as if enchanted. Don't look at her. Sarah snapped, a flicker of desperation clawing at her throat. The mournful wail crescendoed, echoing off the trees, merging with the rustling leaves as if the mountain itself was alive, warning them. Cold washed over Sarah as the figure beckoned again, fingers splayed wide like a spider inviting them into its web. Come. Your destiny awaits you, the voice floated, soft yet chilling, wrapping around them like smoke. She wants us to go with her, Lily insisted, her voice now distant, almost dreamlike. No. No. Sarah heard her own voice tremble. Panic surged through her, her legs urging her to run, but she couldn't drag Lily away from that unearthly trance. The shadows thickened, creeping toward them, as though the darkness was trying to pull them apart. "Lily, please." A gust of wind swept through the yard, chilling their skin. Just then, Lily's wide eyes began to shimmer with a light that was not her own. "Mommy," she's sad. "She needs us." A primal fear clawed at Sarah's chest. "No. She's not what she seems." Suddenly, the shadows flared. The woman in white shifted, her features momentarily illuminated, hollow eyes, a mouth curling into a ghastly smile. Sarah stumbled back as dread engulfed her. She yanked Lily's arm, but her child stood steadfast as if drawn by an invisible force more powerful than her own strength. Then the whispering began, a chorus of voices, low and sinister, entwined with the sound of rushing water. "Let her go, join us, find peace." That word sent shivers down Sarah's spine. The town's stories flooded her mind, tales brimming with disappearances, secrets hidden beneath the roots of the mountain. "Join us," the words echoed, weaving into her thoughts with every pulse of her heart. "Mommy, I can't hold on much longer," Lily whimpered now, her little fingers slipping from Sarah's grasp. "No!" Sarah screamed, lunging. She grabbed her daughter just as a powerful wind surged, yanking at their clothes, trying to tear them apart. With one swift motion, Sarah wrapped her arms around Lily, pulling her close, but it felt like dragging a weight against the tide. The woman in white, the manifestation of lost souls, stepped closer, her presence overshadowing the night. "Let her come to me, she belongs to the mountain now." "Stop. You can't have her." The words burst from Sarah's lips, raw and potent. But the grip of terror only tightened. No one escapes the call of the mountain. As the air thickened, an oppressive weight enveloped them. Sarah fought back panic, tightening her hold. "We can't stay here. We have to leave now." With a sudden burst of adrenaline, Sarah turned and bolted towards the house, clutching Lily tight against her chest, the whispers raging behind them like a storm. Yet the chilling laughter of the woman echoed, trailing after them, an unnatural promise that they'd never truly escape. Bursting into the house, Sarah slammed the door shut, panting, heart racing. She leaned against the door, face pale, trembling. "Mommy, I want to go back." Lily's small voice came from behind her, innocent yet haunting, echoing the call of the mountain. "Not a chance. We're never going near that place again." But deep within Sarah's heart, a whisper grew, a nagging thought as insistent as the night wind. What if there was a hidden truth she needed to uncover, a key to the haunting? As she locked the door, she looked down the darkened hallway, the wood creaking ominously. Tomorrow, she would have to confront the mountain and all its secrets. Because Lily's fate was now uncertain, and the mountain was calling again, the truth couldn't remain buried forever. Sarah's heart raced, each thump echoing in her ears, drowning out the whispers that seemed to seep through the walls, curling around her mind like tendrils of smoke. She turned, searching Lily's face for any sign of her child, but all she saw was a glaze and unsettling mist that shrouded her daughter's innocence. "Lily?" she asked, voice trembling. "I want to go back," Lily repeated, her tone eerily calm, like a puppet reciting lines. "No, no, we can't. We can't go back." Panic spilled over into desperation, her hands shaking as she gripped her daughter's shoulders. "You have to listen to me." The lights flickered above them, shadows dancing erratically across the room. Each flicker revealed distorted reflections in the windows, glimpses of the white figure, flitting past like a memory. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, bile rising in her throat. "Mommy, she's waiting," Lily said softly, still not blinking, still not looking away. "She's so lonely." A cold sweat pooled on Sarah's brow. "She's not lonely, darling. She's wicked. She's taken others, and she wants you too. But what if she's here to help?" Lily asked, tilting her head, an innocent question laced with an unsettling undertone. "No." Sarah screamed, her voice echoing off the walls, amplified by fear. "Just please, come with me. Slowly, Lily blinked, the glaze flickering like the lights above. For a brief moment, her clear eyes met Sarah's, and she seemed to awaken. "Mommy." But as soon as the clarity returned, the whispers crescendoed again, filling the room with their sinister song, curling into Sarah's mind. "Join us. Come home." Lily began to sway, entranced, and Sarah felt the ground shift beneath her. It was as if the house itself had come alive, breathing with the voices. She pulled Lily back, desperate. "Stay with me. Stay." In that gripping moment, the door rattled and pounded violently as though something from beyond was trying to break in. It felt like the mountain itself was raging against her, eager to snatch her away. "What do you want?" she screamed at the door. The wailing answered, echoing, and the intensity of its mournful call turned Sarah's insides to ice. She grabbed Lily and sprinted down the hallway, her feet pounding against the wooden floor which felt like it was pulling back, resisting their escape. With each step, shadows twisted and spiraled around them like dark tendrils, clawing at their heels, whispering vile secrets of those who had come before. Just ahead, the front door loomed like a gateway to freedom, but the darkness coiled tighter, pushing against them, a malevolent force intent on holding them captive. "Don't look back," Sarah shouted through gritted teeth. "Never look back." But Lily tugged at her hand, whispering, "She's here." I can see her, a scream lodged in Sarah's throat. "No. I said don't. She wants to take you." They burst into the living room, and the world outside pressed against the walls, threatening to collapse inward. It was as if the mountain was pulling away any refuge, eager to claim them both. Suddenly, the lights went out, plunging them into suffocating darkness. "Mommy?" Lily's voice, now small and frail, echoed around them. "Stay close to me, I'm right here," Sarah called, fumbling through the black, the air thick with an overwhelming presence, as if the very darkness were alive, breathing down her neck. Then, a rush of cold swept past her, whispering in that familiar voice. "Join us." A blinding flash illuminated the room, revealing the specter standing in the corner, its face twisted in an unnatural smile, eyes hollow and gleaming. Sarah gasped, the light fading, and all that was left was the cold grip of terror wrapping around her heart. As the darkness descended once more, Sarah felt a surge of desperation. She had to find a way to save Lily before the mountain took them both, but what if the truth held more terror than the specter itself? What if digging deeper meant facing the darkest fears she'd ever known? The question swelled within her as the whispering intensified, mingling with the wailing, drowning out all sense of hope. Tomorrow would bring the truth, whether she was ready or not. As she held her daughter close, uncertainty gnawed at her. The mountain still called, and this time, it wouldn't be ignored. The darkness pressed in around them, heavy and suffocating. Sarah breathed shakily, her chest tightening as the whispers swirled like a tempest in her ears. "Mommy, she's coming." Lily's voice held a note of eerie calm, sending icy fingers of dread crawling up Sarah's spine. "No, no, no." Sarah spat, panic surging anew. The specter's twisted form lingered just on the edge of her perception, a grinning shadow that threatened to engulf them. She could almost feel its breath on her neck, cold and taunting. "Lily," she hissed, gripping her daughter's arm tightly, "we need to find a way out. Now." But the light had fled, and the house, seemingly alive, shifted with a malevolent pulse. The walls felt like they were closing in, swallowing the scant threads of her courage whole. "Join us." The words wrapped around her like a tight noose, glowing with wicked intent. The melody of despair echoed louder now, mixing with the insistent drumming of her heart. In her mind, the mountain's nighttime whisper echoed, a sinister lullaby promising safety if they only surrendered. With resolve straining against the rising tide of fear, Sarah guided Lily through the darkened living room. Each step brought trepidation, shadows stretched into grotesque forms, lingering just out of direct sight, clawing at her sanity. "Mommy!" Lily yanked her arm, pointing toward the hallway. "She's there. Don't look!" Sarah shouted, glancing down at the little girl in a surge of protective instinct. But the hall twisted in her vision, the dimness shifting, revealing fleeting images, the faces of others who had come before, victims trapped in a cycle of regret. "Please, let us go." Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks, a pleading anthem against the encroaching despair. Ahead, at the end of the hallway, she glimpsed a flicker, a promise of the world outside, the faint outline of freedom. Then, a scream tore through the silence from somewhere deep within the house. It echoed with a chilling familiarity. Had it been a child? Or was it the mountain itself, wailing for its lost souls? The air thickened with sorrow, wrapping around her feet like chains. "We have to keep moving," Sarah urged, her voice stronger than she felt. "Hold my hand." Together, they pressed forward toward the front door. But the shadows morphed again, revealing distorted figures clawing through the walls, whispering her name, calling like lost friends, no longer human. Each soft plea made her stomach twist violently. "Mommy, they want to help," Lily whispered, innocence colliding with terror. "No." The word burst from Sarah's lips like a gunshot. "They're lying. They want to take you." The grip of darkness tightened, consuming her, choking her breath. A memory flickered in her mind, joyful laughs, a picnic shared with Lily, simple moments which now felt like a fading dream. She couldn't let this nightmare swallow them. They reached the door, and with a ferocity born from desperation, she pushed against it. It groaned in protest, yet swung open with a shriek, revealing an endless night painted in shades of dread. Outside lay the thicket of trees, but beyond them loomed a cliff, the edges stark and unforgiving. "Mommy, we can go back," Lily insisted, her voice now sweetly naive, beckoning. But as she stepped toward the threshold, Sarah's heart froze. The spectre stood behind her, the grinning visage almost too close, its hollow eyes boring into her soul. "No!" Sarah cried, pulling Lily back, adrenaline surging through her veins. They staggered away, the door slamming shut on its own, a sudden barrier between them and the nightmarish void outside. Breathless and wild, she turned to see the spectre advancing slowly, its smile widening, arms outstretched. The whispers crescendoed, and the walls shook as if the house itself wanted to protect its captive. "I'll never let you take her!" Sarah screamed. And in that moment of defiance, she felt the stirrings of a desperate hope. What if confronting the spectre revealed the key to defeating whatever haunted this cursed place? With a newfound resolution, Sarah stepped forward, defying the dread that consumed her. "Show us the way out," she demanded, her voice dropping to a fierce whisper. The spectre paused, tilting its head as if considering her words. Silence draped over the room, thick enough to slice. And then, the smile faltered. "What are you going to uncover? What price will you pay?" it asked, the voice low and dripping with malice. Sarah's stomach lurched. The price. What would it cost her to free her daughter from this torment? As the spectre drew closer, shadows twisted and stretched. The answers lay beyond, waiting to be uncovered in a darkness deeper than she had ever known, but that path might lead to a truth far more terrifying than either of them had anticipated. What if salvation meant facing her own worst fears? What if her fight had only just begun? Sarah's stomach twisted as the spectre loomed nearer, its smile morphing into something hideous. It seemed to suck in the darkness, growing larger as though it thrived on their fear. The room felt electric, charged with a malevolence that made every hair on her body stand on end. "Do you really think you can escape?" the spectre rasped, its voice a chilling whisper that snaked into her mind like poison. With every syllable, the shadows flickered and danced, creating a panorama of horror, 1,000 terrified faces trapped within the walls, each one silently screaming for help, their eyes wide with despair. "Mommy, I'm scared." Lily's voice was small, barely audible against the overwhelming weight of dread. Sarah pulled her daughter close, wrapping her arms around Lily, the warmth of her body cutting through the cold veil of fear. "Focus on me," Sarah whispered, determination tightening her grip. "We're going to get out of here. Together." The spectre's laughter echoed, a low rumble that vibrated through the floor beneath them. Together? How sweet! It mocked. You have no idea what darkness truly is. As the laughter faded, the door behind them shook violently. Sarah glanced back, heart racing. The way outside felt like a mirage, but there was no time to dwell on uncertainty. The spectre surged forward, its form rippling like smoke, twisting into a grotesque approximation of humanity. Shadows poured from its body, coiling around Sarah and Lily, tightening like a vice. Listen closely, the spectre hissed, breath cold against Sarah's flushed cheek. You must choose. What are you willing to lose to save your child? The words cut deep. Memories flooded her mind, the feeling of Lily's tiny hand in hers, the sound of her laughter, simple joys now overlaid with an overwhelming fear of what lay ahead. I refuse to lose anything. Sarah screamed, her voice raw, shaking off the suffocating despair. She would not let this creature exploit her vulnerability. You don't own us. For a moment, the spectre hesitated, its features flickering as though it was struggling against an unforeseen force. Taking advantage of the distraction, Sarah turned to the door, pulling Lily along with her. Run! She shouted, bursting into the hallway as blinding shadows followed close behind. The walls pulsed and throbbed like a living entity, morphing the space into a warped maze. The usual confines of the house blurred, leading to a confusion that clouded her thoughts. Mommy, where are we going? Lily whimpered, her footsteps hesitant. Anywhere but here. Sarah gasped, tugging Lily along, her heart hammering against her ribcage. Streaks of light flickered just beyond the hallway's end, hopes of an exit, a sanctuary from the encroaching darkness. Help us! Sarah cried out desperately as they approached a junction. The air thrummed with the whispers of untold secrets, rising up like an ocean swell. But as they neared the light, the walls contorted again, forcing a dark figure into their path, a familiar face, contorted in agony, frozen in time. It was her sister, long lost, hands outstretched, eyes pleading. Sarah, save me, the words waned to chilling murmurs. Stay away. Sarah screamed, her reality imploding. Somehow, the house knew her worst fears, and it was using every one of them against her. Choose. The spectre's voice surged from all directions, laughter echoing in the distance. Who will you save? Who must be disowned? Time froze. Every second stretched painfully. Tears stung her eyes. Mommy? Lily's terrified whisper pierced the chaos, a lifeline reaching through the madness. In that instant, Sarah felt a shattering clarity. The spectre wanted her to sacrifice her own family, her own flesh and blood. I won't give in to you. She screamed, defiance ringing in her ears. But as she turned away from her sister, the spectre lunged, coiling shadows wrapping around Sarah like chains. Just before the darkness closed in, Sarah saw the faint outline of a door, a flicker of hope amidst the despair. Would she reach it? Could she break free from the web of nightmares threatening to engulf them? The spectre's hiss grew closer, chilling her to the bone. Sarah's breath quickened, pushing her to sprint. Trust me. She yelled, dragging Lily with every ounce of strength left. But in the quiet, afraid moment, the question echoed louder than ever before. What was she willing to sacrifice to escape this haunted prison? And how long could they hold on before it was too late? Sarah's heart raced as she pulled Lily along, each pounding step reverberating in her ears, a frantic drumbeat against the backdrop of their spiraling nightmare. The door glinted ahead, a beacon amid the swirling shadows, yet the spectre's laughter clawed at her mind, dark and taunting, tugging at the threads of her sanity. As they drew closer to the door, Sarah's breath hitched. She could almost feel the spectre's icy breath on her neck, wrapped tight in a death grip of darkness that threatened to devour them both. Almost there, she whispered urgently, desperation fueling her legs. But the hall twisted and turned, elongating impossibly. The door felt like a mirage, flickering just out of reach. Panic surged in her chest. Would they escape, or would they end up just another pair of lost souls in this hellish abode? With every ounce of strength, Sarah yanked at Lily, urging her forward. "Keep going. Just a bit more," she urged, the tremor in her voice betraying her fear. Yet then, another chilling whisper slithered through the air, wrapping itself around her mind. "You can't outrun the truth, Sarah. You must face it. What does it want from us?" Lily's voice broke, wide-eyed and trembling, the shadow of dread hanging heavily around her. "Don't listen. Just keep moving." Sarah's instincts screamed, but her resolve wavered as she faced the spectre's cruel visage within the shadows. "Sarah," it crooned, voice dripping with malice. "You can save your daughter, but your sister, it's not too late for her." "No!" Sarah shouted, drawing her daughter closer as images of her sister's face flashed in her mind, contorted with pain, her hands reaching out, begging for rescue. "Mommy! I don't want to lose you." Lily's voice broke her concentration. The thought of abandonment struck Sarah like a bolt, cutting through her distraction. "I'm here. I promise," she reassured, burying her fear deep inside. But as they edged closer to the spectre's light, the darkness shifted violently, warping into grotesque forms, faces of the lost, twisted in eternal anguish. Something flickered in Sarah's chest, regret, guilt, confusion as she struggled with the spectre's chilling promises. It was as if the house was unearthing her deepest fears. "What must I let go of to save us?" Suddenly, the very walls began to close in, bulging with whispers of despair. "You have to choose the weight of your bond or the burden of your past." Terror clawed at Sarah's throat. It felt suffocating, the weight of her sister's pleading eyes burning in her memories. She hesitated. Her sister was family, yet Lily was her everything. "Mommy, please!" Lily cried, her voice resounding the only truth in the chaos, a truth that beat louder than all the darkness. "Run!" Sarah yelled, suddenly tearing to the side, hoping to break the cycle. Darkness crept closer, malignant and hungry. The spectre shrieked, resonating like a banshee, furious that its manipulation slipped from its grasp. They darted down a new corridor, every inch taut with fear, the air thick with unresolved horrors. Shadows lurked, slipping like smoke, teasing and taunting, whispering doubts that clawed at Sarah's mind. A buzzing dread invaded her thoughts. Had they gone the wrong way? Was it a trick? Then, the familiar faces of her past flickered in and out through the dark, a fleeting glimpse of laughter, warmth turned cold. "Mommy!" Lily shouted, pulling Sarah back into focus. A door loomed again, its edges glowing softly, beckoning them forth. "This is it!" Sarah choked out, tearing free of the doubt. They could almost feel freedom on the other side. Almost there. But before they reached it, the spectre's cry rang out, louder, primal. "Your past is here to stay. Can you truly abandon it?" With one swift motion, shadows lashed out, tendrils wrapping around Sarah and Lily, pulling them to a stop just out of reach of salvation. In that gripping moment, faces swirled around them, desperate and agonizing. "Make your choice," the spectre demanded. As despair washed over her, Sarah struggled against the pull, the walls vibrating with the weight of her decision. "I will not choose," Sarah roared, using every ounce of her will against the very force that sought to shatter her heart. The darkness roiled in anger, dragging them deeper into its shadowy embrace. Then, without warning, the world around them lurched violently. The light flickered like a dying star, casting a brief glow against the sinister backdrop. In that heartbeat, clarity struck Sarah like a lightning bolt. What if the truth was more sinister than she ever expected? As the spectre lunged again, hungry for their surrender, Sarah knew they were running out of time. Would they succumb to despair and sacrifice everything? Or could they unearth a dark secret that would turn the tide of their fate? Just as fear tightened its grip, an echo rang through the hall, a voice just above a whisper. "Help us!" Was it the past calling? Or the spectre, ready to claim another victim? The question reverberated through the shadows, a chilling reminder that the true horror still lay ahead. The sound of that ghostly plea echoed in Sarah's ears like a mournful dirge. Help us. It curled around her heart, squeezing tight. The shadows pulsed, hungry for despair, and something deep within her wanted to respond, to understand. But Sarah's instincts screamed at her to flee. Mommy! Lily tugged on her sleeve, eyes flooded with terror. Please, what if it's a trap? What if it's pretending to be someone we know? Sarah's mind raced. I don't know, Lily, but we can't stay here. She pulled her daughter toward the door, willing her legs to move. In that ethereal glow, a sudden rush of wind spiraled through the corridor, threatening to knock them off their feet. The specter's shriek crescendoed behind them, a chilling reminder of its relentless pursuit. Sarah staggered but held tight to Lily, both struggling against the dark force pressing down on them like an oppressive weight. You can't escape reality. The specter bellowed. It clings to you, like shadows on a moonless night. As if to emphasize its point, the darkness coiled tighter, the temperature dropping. Sarah felt cold seep into her bones as she turned the knob of the door. It didn't budge. Panic surged within her. Don't leave me, Lily whimpered, her voice quaking. What if we can't get out? Just a little more, please. Sarah begged, desperation igniting her resolve. She slammed her shoulder against the door again and again, but it held firm. Then, it happened a split second where the whispers turned into a roar. Faces emerged from the shadows, each one twisted in agony, arms reaching out. A woman, once familiar, bore a striking resemblance to her sister. Sarah's heart broke at the sight of her pleading visage. The specter laughed, louder, mocking her turmoil. See how they suffer. It hissed. They call for you, but you cannot save them. Get away from us. Sarah screamed, and with a surge of adrenaline, she slammed her shoulder against the door one last time. At that moment, it swung open, revealing a blinding light that engulfed them. Struggling through the doorway, they stumbled into a room bathed in eerie luminescence. The air was different here, still and quiet, an unsettling calm after the chaos. Sarah spun around to slam the door shut, sealing away the specter's wails. But the moment she turned, her breath caught in her throat. The room was lined with old photographs and peeling wallpaper. Each picture was a haunting reminder of her past, moments transposed into still images, and right in the middle of them was her sister, smiling as if in a happier time. What is this? Lily whispered, eyes darting to the portraits. This is my past, Sarah murmured, stepping closer. The uneasy feeling gripped her stomach, twisting deeper. But why are they all here? In that moment, one of the photographs fluttered like a wounded bird. Sarah reached out instinctively, fingers brushing the glass frame. The image shimmered, blurring, and then the scene shifted. The happy memory morphed into chaos. Her sister's laughter turned into screams. Sarah! Lily shrieked, clinging to her mother. Get away! Sarah shouted, but it was too late. The specter erupted from the frame, dark fog curling around their ankles, dragging them deeper into the memory. No! Please! Sarah fought against it, but the past gripped her tightly. Faces twisted in confusion, shadows swirling with every step. You were never meant to escape, the specter's voice oozed around them. You must confront the truth here. With an overwhelming force, they were pulled into the swirling darkness, memories battering them like a storm. Shadows lurked just beyond their vision, waiting, whispering secrets lost in time. Mommy! Lily cried, her voice erupting through the chaos. Sarah felt the ground give way beneath her. The walls trembled. Terrifying images flashed before her, moments she longed to forget. The last, haunting words of her sister came rushing back. Face it, Sarah. You can't run from what you've done. As the shadows closed in, a flicker of resolve ignited within her. Defiance coursed through her veins. They could not be trapped in a trap of old wounds. But before she could respond, the darkness swallowed her whole. Will she find the strength to confront her past? The specter taunted as everything went black. A chilling laugh echoed through the void, leaving just one question hanging in the silence. What mysteries were hidden in this forgotten place, waiting to unravel everything Sarah thought she knew? The darkness was complete, a thick, suffocating blanket, wrapping itself around Sarah and Lily. It pressed in on them, heavy and claustrophobic, drowning out their screams and muffling the world they once knew. Agony clawed at the edges of her mind, memories flashed, jagged snapshots of her sister's eyes filled with torment, an emptiness that twisted like a knife. "Mommy," Lily's voice was a fragile whisper, barely piercing the veil of despair that surrounded them. "Where are we?" "I don't know, honey," Sarah struggled against the weight of her fear. "Just hold on to me." She felt the damp chill seep into her skin as the shadows writhed. It was as if the past was constricting around them like a serpent, threatening to devour them whole. The air tasted stale, filled with a sense of wrongness, a sickly sweet rot that reminded her of decay. Panic surged anew in her chest, tightening like a vice. Suddenly, a flash of light pierced the darkness, illuminating their surroundings. They stood in a dilapidated room, enshrouded by cobwebs and decay. Dust motes danced in the beams of pale light that flickered like dying stars. The walls were lined with mirrors, each one reflecting distorted versions of themselves, twisted smiles that made their skin crawl. "What is happening?" Lily's eyes darted between the reflections. Fear marred her delicate features as she clung to Sarah. As they ventured further into the room, the mirrors began to ripple, the surface like water disturbed. One mirror grew clearer, revealing a scene from Sarah's childhood, a family gathering, laughter echoing like sunlight spilling into an otherwise gloomy space. But the laughter twisted, becoming cackles, malicious and taunting. "Do you see what they truly think of you?" The spectre's voice slithered through the air, wrapping around Sarah's thoughts like a cold hand. "You never earned their love, did you? You could have saved her. But you didn't. Shut up." Sarah shouted back, anger flickering inside her like a dying flame. With every moment, the spectre's laughter grew louder, echoing through the room as the mirrors began to fracture, their surfaces like shattered glass, revealing nightmares instead of memories. Each break in the glass unleashed a flood of images, dismembered hands reaching out, pleading faces warped in pain, shadows of her sister's desolate likeness crying for help. "You must decide." The spectre shrieked, disdain lacing its voice. "Embrace the past or be consumed by it. What will it be, Sarah? Will you face your guilt and regret?" "No." Sarah screamed, her heart racing. "I want to let you win." With a fierce determination, she clenched her fists and charged toward the nearest mirror, driven by rage and sorrow. As she collided with it, the glass shattered, cascading down like rain. The weight of sorrow crashed over her, and within that instant, she felt her sister's presence warm, comforting, as if she were right there, just beyond the shards of reality. "Sarah," a whisper floated through the rubble, threading through time and space, the echo of her sister's voice still carrying a hint of joy amidst the pain. "Remember who you are, remember us." The moment felt surreal, as if she was teetering on the edge of two worlds, the past trying to pull her back while the present urged her forward. It weighed heavily on her heart. But just then, Lily's hand slipped from hers, the mirror fragments swirling around them like a storm of memories. "Mom!" Panic shot through Sarah as she turned to find Lily pulled toward another reflection, the glass mesmerizing, entrancing. "No. Lily, stay with me," she cried, lunging towards her daughter. The spectre's laughter erupted, fueled by their distress, a cacophony of anguish that echoed against the walls. In that agonizing moment, Sarah realized the depth of her fear. Not only of losing Lily but facing the truth of her choices, the consequences she had tried so hard to escape. As the reflections twisted and darkened, Sarah narrowed her gaze. "I will not let you take her." With renewed strength, she drove forward, desperate to reclaim her daughter amidst the chaos. Will Sarah's resolve be enough to save Lily, or will the past consume them both? The spectre taunted, its voice growing distant but ever present in the encroaching shadows. Their fate hung precariously in the balance, wrapped in despair and urgency. A choice lay before them, fragile and fleeting, but who would make it out alive? The echoes of the spectre's laugh faded into the shadows as Sarah plunged forward, determined to reach her daughter. The room spun around her, and the glass fragments glistened like an array of stars, reflecting the turmoil within her. The moment she reached Lily, she felt the fragile line binding them to the present stretch painfully, threatening to snap. "No!" Sarah screamed, her voice breaking the suffocating gloom. She clutched Lily's hand, fighting against the pull of the spectre, the dark tendrils curling around her child like suffocating vines. "Mommy!" Lily's face was filled with confusion, her wide eyes searching for stability. "I want to go home, then hold on tight. We're getting out of here." Sarah's voice surged with a fierce protectiveness, channeling every ounce of determination into that moment. She yanked Lily back, pulling her away from the mesmerizing mirror that shimmered with dark seduction. As they paired their frantic movements with the vigorous beat of Sarah's heart, the spectre's form lurked in the corners, fury brewing in its hollow eyes. "You can't deny your truth," it hissed. "You cannot outrun what you've done. It will consume you both." A primal fear roared within Sarah, flowing through her veins like fire. But amid that terror, a clarity emerged. The past didn't need to define her. She could change the narrative, forge a new path beyond guilt and regret. "I want to be your puppet," she declared, her voice finding strength in defiance. "You don't own us." With every word, she felt her resolve strengthen. The spectre faltered, momentarily thrown off balance as she summoned all her love for Lily and all the memories she cherished. She pushed past the haunting faces reflected in the shards, those who sought to lure them into despair. The whispers surged, but with every step, she banished the shadows from her mind. "We have each other, and that's all that matters." Sarah tightened her grip on Lily, and together they ran towards the far end of the room, where a door, half hidden by shadows, beckoned like a lighthouse in a storm. "Keep going," Sarah urged, her mind focused solely on that door. With relentless determination, they barreled towards it just as the spectre lunged, darkness spilling forth with fury. "No!" Sarah screamed again, not turning back but instead propelling forward with the momentum of their fight. They collided with the door, and with a single, mighty push, it creaked open, revealing a blinding white light. It flowed over them like a wave, tinged with warmth, washing away the chill of shadows. "Mommy!" Lily cried, clinging to her tightly, as if the light was a tangible thing. "I'm scared." "It's okay, sweetheart. You have to trust me." Sarah clutched Lily's hand in hers, pulling her into the warmth. As they plunged through, the air shifted suddenly, rich and vibrant, pulsating with life instead of death. They stumbled into a clearing surrounded by sunlight, bathed in the echoes of laughter and the gentle whispers of leaves swaying in the breeze. The cold grip of fear lifted, replaced by a wave of relief washing over them. Yet, as Sarah looked back, the spectre quivered at the threshold, its form dissolving into shadows, shrieking with impotent rage, retreating to the depths of the house. Still trembling, Sarah gazed down at Lily, her pulse racing from adrenaline. "We made it," she whispered, sinking to her knees and crushing her child in a fierce embrace. "I was so scared, Mommy." Lily's voice quivered. "And I'll never let anything take you from me again," Sarah vowed, the gravity of their journey burning in her chest, a promise sworn under the glare of the sun. In the distance, the cursed mountain loomed, dark and foreboding. But Sarah felt something different in the air now, a glimmer of hope ignited where fear had once reigned. Without another glance back, she wrapped her arms tightly around Lily, leading her away from the shadows that clung to her past. They stepped forward, laced with sensations of new beginnings, winding towards a path that opened into possibilities. The town, once draped with unease, now felt renewed, a place where past tragedies could transform into lessons learned. With each step away, a sense of closure wrapped around Sarah. It wasn't just the mountain they left behind, it was the weight of her choices, the past she fought so hard to escape. They would build a future unshackled from fear. As they reached the edge of the woods, Sarah whispered to Lily, "Look, we can go anywhere from here. Together." And as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the world in hues of gold, warmth filled her soul, a flicker of joy igniting beneath the weight of darkness. Life was not just the shadows they had fled, but the light they boldly walked towards. The journey was, in its essence, a rebirth. Subscriber, hit that button and join us. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next spine-tingling stories. Smash that like button to help us reach more fans. Give your thoughts in the comments. We want to know your theories about Sarah and Lily's next adventure. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need this thrilling conclusion. Be part of our story.